fans. Timmy V.O here with the Panther Comms Podcast. Monday in the box. Tuesday edition. So obviously this is coming after the Week 12 Monday Night Football all eyes on me game outside of Frisco, Levi Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. And the 49ers pretty much sucked away all the time on the clock in both halves. They were not afraid to keep running the football. And when they made a strike downfield, it was effective. It's really unfortunate. Now, let me give you my personal take on this situation, and we'll go down through the stats and speak about, the logistics of the game, so to say. Dave Canales really got under my skin in this game. Why do I say that? You have an effective run game. Teams are going to try to blitz us. Run blitz and, obviously getting at Bryce. We were actually making ground in terms of yards, hitting Chuba and Rico in the flat whenever there was a blitz or there was a soft zone situation. But we also had signs that they were susceptible to the run, meaning the 49ers. And I'm afraid that Dave panicked because, outside of, Purdy throwing those picks, the 49ers were really controlling the clock. If you have a whole other half of football to play, why in the world would you not try to control the clock as well? Time is the most precious element in the game of football. Because you can't run a play when that clock reads 0-0-0. You can't. Game's over. Quarter's over. Half's over. So you have to take advantage of the fact that you have two studs that can also run the football, and we need to try to establish that. We're running a lot of play action without running the football. They didn't respect that. And unlike the Atlanta game, there were not a lot of yaks. That's yards after the catch. That's the acronym. There were not a lot of yaks in this game, which means San Francisco was keeping receivers in front of them. They played a lot of man in the goal line area with a safety spy. That's why Bryce threw that pick in the end zone. That was really a bonehead decision. You always want to throw to the open area of the field, even in that situation, just to make sure that you clear any type of, potential defensive, either, interfering the trajectory of the football or, in this case, getting an interception. Evans was on the back line of the back of the end zone. Bryce could have floated that bad boy up there and darn near threw it to the pylon. I mean, I know there was a defender over there running with, I believe it was Coker, maybe, or somebody in the flat. That was obvious, but he threw it more towards the center of the field as opposed to off to the side and away from the defense again. So it's really unfortunate. And kudos to the safety because he got two picks off of Bryce. The second one was because Tetaroa was held when he was coming out of his break, but whatever. But it is what it is. But Canales could have done a better job, obviously, coaching this game in terms of calling it. And this comes back to my philosophy as a head coach. Your expectations should be to manage and delegate, not to intervene. I really think that he needs to relinquish his play calling duties and make sure that he's keeping these guys, managing personnel and all these other things. I think he'll be better served doing that because he is a player's coach. He's a guy's guy. He's out there warming up women, everything. To take it to the next level, relinquish those OC duties to your OC and just be a head coach, bro. There was no way in the world we should have went away from the run game. in the first half. I know we didn't have a lot of time, but we shouldn't have went away from the run game. I think that was extremely detrimental. And, as I pull up these stats here, you'll notice that while I'm reading these stats to you, engaging with you guys, and thanks again for checking out the Panther Comms podcast, you'll notice San Francisco controlled the ball for darn near, well, actually, almost 20 minutes in the first half. I mean, when they drove the ball down the field, all they were worried about was getting first downs. And they continued to do so. Yeah, there were some penalties here and there, but they continued to do so. And, I really think Dave should have done the same thing. Coker needs more targets. He really needs more targets. That young man does not drop the football. I hate to say it, but he has the most sure hands on the team. And he's an undrafted free agent. Kudos to Dan Morgan and his scout team. I'm just saying. All right, let's pull these bad boys up here. And if you're not following me on TikTok, I suggest you do. We as in myself and other Panther fans and football fans have a great time on there. So I can answer your comments, your questions directly with a video on TikTok. It's one of the reasons I like that platform. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do. It goes by the same name, Panther Comms. Panther Comms Podcast, to be specific. All right, Panther Nation. Well, let's look at these stats. And as always, shout out to static.nfl.com for their official PDF. Now you can find that on NFL.com, by the way. So let's just go to the individual stats, and then we get down to the team stats. Man, the time of possession was just absolutely phenomenal in this game. So combined, in terms of the Carolina Panthers, we had 13 attempts for the game. That's rushing the football, that is. 13 attempts, folks. We had almost as many attempts at rushing the football. And that's between Rico, Chuba, and Bryce. You heard that correctly. There were almost as many attempts at rushing the football as there were completions by Bryce Young. He had 18. 60.8 quarterback rating, by the way. His longest pass, obviously, was the touchdown to Tetaroa. But yeah. The leading receivers. Oh, hold on. Let me give you guys the rushing average. And this comes back to why it irks the heck out of me, Coach. Rico was averaging 6.3 yards a carry. Chuba was averaging 5.3 yards a carry. Would somebody mind explaining to me why the hell we went away from running the football? Oh, yeah, that's right. We didn't have a lot of time. Coach panicked. He panicked. And we'll come back to that time issue here in a second. But he panicked. You can't do that, especially when you're not getting ran off the field. We went into the second half down by 3 with the football. The best time to establish the run. We wound up punting the football. I think we had a penalty in the sack in that drive. I'm not 100 on that, but yeah. I will say this: I'm glad I went to bed before recording this one. Boy, I was hot. We shouldn't have lost this game. All right, so going to receiving, Rico had 4 targets, 4 catches. Chuba had 4 targets, 4 catches. Again, like we were punishing them when they blitzed, and when we caught them out there in the flat 1-on-1. I mean, Chuba's looking better, man. Chuba's got his legs back. If we can just get into the wild card, man, we can be dangerous. I'm afraid our injuries are going to catch up with us, though. That it might even prevent us from winning the division. We still got to play New Orleans one more time and Tampa twice. We're going to have to clean this up. Okay, so the stat of the day for me, ladies and gentlemen, is our good man Tetaroa McMillan. 7 targets, 2 catches. 7 targets, 2 catches. The most reliable receiver, well, kind of, sort of. The most reliable receiver only had 2 catches. But our running backs were averaging 6.3 and 5.3 respectively when they got the football in their hands. Why the hell did you go away from the run, coach? I don't give a damn. Why did you go away from the run? Clearly, they as in San Francisco, were maintaining possession, which was milking that clock, which kept Bryce Young on the sideline, which kept us from getting a rhythm on offense. What's the best way to get a rhythm back on offense? You run the damn football. You establish that bully ball. We already had him on the ropes. 3 picks in the first half. We would basically say, hey, throw the football. Go for it. Throw that ball downfield and see what happens. Now, unfortunately, Jaycee got a concussion, and I believe we lost a couple of guys. Zavala, surprise. I hate it for that young man, man. He keeps getting dinged up. Apparently, coach has confidence in him, but he keeps getting dinged up. But yeah, we should have done a lot better in this game than we did. Tetaroa, man, that's really unfortunate. Coker had 3 catches off of 4 targets. Leggett had 3 catches off of 5 targets. In one of the most pivotal moments of the game, this young man steps out of bounds on his own accord and came back in, was the first person to touch the football, which is obviously a penalty and a loss of down in that situation. And this is the 4th quarter, man. We're trying to get points up. Who knows what would have happened if we could have scored a touchdown, got that extra point, maybe 2. Who knows? I don't understand why we went away from the run. I do not understand that. But yeah, overall, we had 169 yards in the air, and San Francisco had 193. Much respect to Christian McCaffrey. He had 24 attempts, 89 yards. He only averaged 3.7, but they didn't go away from him. And look who won the damn game. Trying to be too tricky, trying to be too cute. When you're on the road, ladies and gentlemen, there's no better time to establish your dominance on the line of scrimmage. There's no better time when you're on the road. When you're at home, you can be a little tricky. You can be a little loose. You can pull out some of those plays that you haven't ran all year long. But when you go on the road, by God, you need to play bully ball off gate. You need to establish yourself and be ready to counter whatever the defense throws at you when you run the football, which is what San Francisco did. Christian McCaffrey's longest run was 17 yards. And so was Rico's. Big difference. You give Rico 18 more carries at 6.3 a clip. Let's say it's 5. That's 90 additional yards. He would have finished with damn near 130 yards rushing based on his average. And that average was tapered down to 5, by the way. Lord have mercy. But yeah, Jaycee had 2 picks. Man, he was really out. He was dialed in. Him and Mike Jack was dialed in. Mike Jack's pick was fingertips too, man. He really got up there extended and got the ball at his highest point. That was beautiful. Textbook. Our punter put us in good position a couple of times, but San Francisco just kept sticking with the run. We're going to run this football, whether you like it or not, coach. Yeah, we had them to 3.7 a carry, but they were fearless. They didn't care. They didn't care at all. All right, so now here it comes. Final team statistics. This is where everything is going to be explained. And then thanks again for checking out the Panther Comms Podcast. I try to wrap this up within the 25-minute frame, okay? Total first downs. The San Francisco 49ers had 12 first downs off of rushing alone. Let me repeat that to you. The San Francisco 49ers had 12 first downs off of rushing alone. You can talk about drops all you want to. Yeah, they had 3 picks, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. 12 first downs off of rushing alone. Passing, 11 first downs off of passing alone. Flip side, here we go. Carolina Panthers. We had 12 first downs, period. Need I say more? We had 12 first downs, period. Nobody gained a first down off of a penalty. Passing first downs, we had 9. A little bit better. Now, how efficient were we at converting our third downs? You ready for this? 1 of 7 for 14.3% third down efficiency rate. We were less than 15% efficiency. 1 of 7. San Francisco 49ers ran 70 offensive plays. 70. They ran. You break that down in 4 quarters, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on, let me get my calculator. 70 offensive plays. Good God. That's what you call relentless. They were relentless. We have 4 quarters, correct? Yes. 70s, yeah. So we're looking at what? 70 divided by 4. We're looking at, so they ran 17.5 plays per quarter, roughly. Now again, that's just numbers. They didn't actually do that. I'm just these just numbers I'm throwing out there, but it's crazy. And here's something else that is kind of odd, and it irks me a little bit. The Carolina Panthers, excuse me. See, I'm getting my feathers are getting a little ruffled. The Carolina Panthers average gain per offensive play, 5.3 yards. We averaged 5.3 yards per offensive play, but we only had 230 net yards. And I'm going to explain that in just a second. Like I mentioned, time has to be on the clock in order for you to run a play. That is amazing. We ran 43 plays the entire game. They ran 70. They had 38 rushing plays. We had 13. Brock Purdy, everybody knows Brock Purdy didn't do anything out there. He had 193 yards in the passing game, and most of that's because of CMC. But yeah, he looked worse than Bryce did. I mean, let's be honest about that. It's sad. It really is. We really should have ran the ball more. San Francisco ran the ball more, and Coach Canales is trying to be too pretty with it. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. It's extremely frustrating. All right, so here we go. Time of possession. The Carolina Panthers had possession of the football for 22 minutes and 18 seconds. Why is that significant? Well, just as I mentioned before about averages, let me give you an average on that. That means the Carolina Panthers would have possession of the football for 5 minutes per quarter. 5 minutes per quarter. Now remember that. Because now we're going to talk about the 49ers. They would have had the football, because they had the possession of the football, for 37 minutes and 42 seconds. That's 18 2-minute drills. You like that? Now, by average, per quarter, they would have had the ball for 9 minutes and 35 seconds. And the Panthers had it for 5. Yeah. See what I mean? If you want to prevent the 49ers from maintaining the football that long, get them off the field on third down. What was their third down efficiency rate? 53.8%. 7 of 13. We have 14 third down. Third down. No, we had 7. I'm sorry. 14 was our percentage of conversion. They had almost twice as many third down opportunities. And people talking about Bryce Young. Bryce Young is a franchise quarterback because he's a game manager. He's a game manager. He's not afraid to take risks. He's a game manager. And unfortunately, this coaching staff did not assist him in managing the game properly. by running the frickin' football. If you want to limit San Francisco's possession, do what they did to you. Limit their possession by running the football. By converting on third downs. One conversion. One. I'm not going to talk about the defense. I mean, clearly we had a decent day in our pass defense, but we couldn't get it done in the run defense, obviously, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we were losing starters prior to the game, and within the game we lost starters. I believe Charles, he got hurt too. I mean, God almighty, y'all. Barnes had 10 tackles. Moreg had 8. Scott had 8. That debacle, that San Francisco's first drive, and they got the pass within like the 5-yard line, and I believe Jaycee had the receiver wrapped up, number 15, had him wrapped up, and somebody came in there and just bumped into him like I'm supposed to hit you and you fall down. I don't understand who teaches these young people how to play football these days. I don't, but there's a severe lack of attention to detail when it comes to making contact and wrapping up. People just do this. Oh, I'm going to bump you with my shoulder. Like it. Oh, no. See, people don't come in and tackle with bad intentions anymore. I ain't talking about hurting the other player, but making them know that you're there and you're going down. This is where it stops. When I make contact with you, this is where it stops. So be aware while I'm coming. That type of mentality. It's not. They just want to go in there and bang into you like you're playing Madden or something. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I was looking at the defensive stats, and that reminded me of that wide receiver broke 3 tackles and walked into the end zone. And then we come out and stall a drive or something like that. Yeah. But it is what it is, folks. At the end of the day, we should have won this game. Plenty of blame to go around from defense to offense. I'm not going to blame Fitzgerald for missing a 57-yard attempt or something like that. I'm not going to blame Fitzgerald for that. And in terms of number 15 for San Francisco, I'm not sure who did that to you, but they would be walking back to Charlotte. They wouldn't be flying with the team. There's no room for that. None. There's no room for that. If you got that type of visceralness within you, you have 4 quarters to show that. No, why? There's no need for that. Well, anyway, we got the Rams in Charlotte, and if you saw that game between them and Tampa, they are playing no games. They are not playing around. The Rams are on a mission, and with these injuries that we have now, I'm I just hope Bryce doesn't get hurt. He played well enough for us to win the game. People can say what you want. When your number 1 wide receiver has that many drops and your coach doesn't lean on the running game more, he doesn't go to other players, he doesn't call other players more. You guys realize I didn't call out Trimble's name, but this was, he panicked. He panicked and kept going to Tetaroa, and Tetaroa kept dropping it. He should have been going to Coker. He should have been going to JT, I guess, a little more because he was catching the ball. Xavier was actually catching the ball too when he was legally in the bound to play. Jesus Christ. Bless his heart. That's all I can say. Bless his heart. We're better than we were last year. We need to make sure we remember that. We were better than we were last year, and we sure as hell are better than we were 2 years ago. And I'm going to say this and be done with it. I'm glad to see CMC being successful with where they put him. Being reminded on how that trade happened. It reminded me why I don't have a lot of respect for Tepper. His decision making. I don't know him as a person. I never met the man. But your decision making was piss poor in that situation. DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. You gonna tell me you can't build around that? What's that say about you? Took us 3 seasons and we're still clawing and scratching. We had to build up our O-line and bring in a decent seasoned quarterback to run the show. Actually, we had one. It's Teddy Bridgewater. Anyway, we are where we are now, and we have a young team that is growing, and they're getting better. I just hope this coaching staff can learn from this and realize that, there's a time to panic and there's a time not to panic. You can't panic in the first quarter. You sure as hell can't go into a hostile environment and not put your foot in the ground and punch him in the face. This run game would have won the game for us. Xavier Legette on a 9 route off of a play action. There ain't too many DBs that can keep up with that dude. Well, thanks for checking out the Panther Comms Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Please subscribe. Please do whatever you can to support this podcast. And hey, we'll keep rocking on. This is a podcast dedicated to the season. So during the off season, you're not going to hear a lot from me. I'm just saying. But by God, when it's time to play, when that whistle blows, the lights come on, I'll be here with you. Thanks for checking out the Panther Comms Podcast, y'all. Enjoy yourselves. Happy Thanksgiving, and by God, keep pounding.